Brad's Ice Cream Dream. Chapter 1. A Taste of Summer. The sun hung low in the sky, drenching the bustling boardwalk in golden light. It was one of those perfect summer days where the air felt thick with promise, and the scent of warm waffle cones danced in the breeze. Brad stood outside his favorite ice cream parlor, a decadent scoop of mint chocolate chip melting in his hand. He was living the dream, or so he thought. Until he stole a sideways glance at Jenna. Jenna was seated on a nearby wooden bench, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. She wore tight jeans that, while stylish, molded to her legs in a way that looked suffocating. She fidgeted restlessly, gasping slightly for breath. Not from the heat, but from the internal struggle brewing within her. Brad, blissfully unaware, was lost in a delightful dance with his ice cream. Brad's backstory. A recent college graduate, Brad had spent the last 4 years buried in textbooks, dreaming of the day he could finally enjoy life unencumbered. Now, with the world before him, he craved adventure, spontaneity, and the heady perfume of freedom. Jenna's motivation. Jenna, on the other hand, faced the fading summer with a different perspective. A budding artist trying to make a name for herself, she felt the pressure to succeed while navigating her turbulent home life. While she projected an air of confidence, underneath, she often gasped for reassurance and connection. "Hey, you want a bite?" Brad asked, offering his cone. "Sure," Jenna replied, leaning in. As she took the scoop, their eyes locked for a fleeting second, igniting curiosity and unspoken tension. Chapter 2. The Stain of Reality. Brad was too enamored with the moment to notice the smudge of ice cream that now marked the corner of Jenna's jeans. With a playful laugh, she wiped a finger across the stain and smeared it across the denim. An instinctive act driven by a mix of humor and anxiety. "Looks like you'll have to throw those in the washer," Brad joked, his carefree laugh resonating above the noise of passing tourists. She answered with a tight smile. The jeans were a gift from her mother, a relic from a better time before life had gotten complicated. Jenna felt a wave of sadness crash over her. The very notion of washing them brought back memories she'd rather forget. Turning point. As their casual chatter continued, a boy approached, offering stain remover with a cheeky grin. "Could use this for those jeans." Brad chuckled, entirely unaware of the weight of the moment. "Thanks, but I think I'll just." Jenna trailed off, her gaze drifting as she wrestled with her emotions and the absurdity of the conversation. She felt her heart thump. This was more than just a stain. It was a reminder of all she wanted to escape. Chapter 3. Washing Away Worries. Later that evening, as twilight draped the boardwalk in shades of indigo and periwinkle, Brad and Jenna found themselves at her apartment, searching for the best way to clean the jeans. The atmosphere was light, filled with laughter. Until Jenna began speaking of her fears and dreams. "I just feel like I'm suffocating sometimes," she admitted, the anxiety spilling from her like the melted ice cream before. "Like I'm trying to get somewhere, but every effort feels like it's in vain." Brad, unexpectedly, softened. "You're going to soar," he reassured her, "but sometimes you've got to crash first. To learn how to fly." Subplot 1. Heart Matters. Meanwhile, Brad was wrestling with his own ambitions. He had hoped to travel the world, write a novel, or paint his dreams. As he scrubbed Jenna's jeans, he came to a powerful realization. Life wasn't merely about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about the connections we forged along the way. Subplot 2. The Art of Discovery. Jenna decided to showcase her work at the local art fair. This decision, fueled by the encouragement from Brad, transformed her despair into a mission. It became more than just art. It became a way for her to express her heart. Chapter 4. Turning the Tide. The day of the art fair arrived. Jenna's work hung proudly on the wall while Brad watched her from a distance, his heart swelling with pride. But amidst the joyous atmosphere, she felt a familiar pain surge through her chest. The pressure to succeed was immense. There was no room for failure. As she turned to her artwork, one piece, a canvas emblazoned with swirls of color, caught Brad's eye. "This is amazing, Jenna. What's the story behind it?" It's a representation of struggle," she explained, her voice trembling. "Every color is a part of me, fighting to be heard." That day, Jenna realized she didn't have to carry her burdens alone, nor was she defined solely by her art. The weight of her genes felt lighter in the presence of those who believed in her, especially Brad. Chapter 5. Flight and freedom. In the following months, their friendship blossomed into more. A melodic dance of laughter and discovery. They shared secrets over ice cream, tackled art projects side by side, and supported each other through sleepless nights. Brad, inspired by Jenna's strength, finally penned the first chapter of his novel, while Jenna's artwork began attracting attention. They were no longer just two souls gasping for breath. They were a team forging a path into the future. Major turning point. On an impromptu visit to the beach, Brad dropped his novel in the sand, while Jenna accidentally spilt her soda on her shirt. Instead of shying away in embarrassment, they both burst into laughter, realizing that imperfection was part of the human experience. In that moment, a sunset of brilliant hues painting the horizon. They understood that being blessed with a heart meant embracing the messiness of life. Epilogue. A journey of togetherness. Years later, at an art gallery displaying Jenna's work, a familiar sound of laughter filled the air. Brad stood beside her, no longer the naive college graduate but a passionate author with stories that intertwined with Jenna's vibrant life. "Remember that time with the ice cream?" Brad chuckled, nudging her shoulder. "Of course. It feels like a lifetime ago," Jenna replied, her eyes sparkling with the joy of nostalgia. As they marveled at the canvas before them, they understood that their journey was not merely about success but about love, friendship, and the beautiful chaos of life. And so, beneath the sun's warm embrace, Brad and Jenna continued crafting their story. Together, forever unfazed by the stains or the messiness of their realities. After all, they had learned to fly, embracing every imperfect moment along the way. The enchanted summer of Paige, Mary Kate, Ashley, Caitlin, and Brad. Once upon a time, in a bustling village where laughter floated in the air like sweet melodies, 5 friends. Paige, Mary Kate, Ashley, Caitlin, and Brad dreamed of a summer that would sparkle like the sun itself. They were bound by a whimsical friendship, each of them holding a piece of a grand adventure. Sunbeams and ice cream. One radiant morning, the sun blinked awake, casting golden beams down upon the village, inviting the friends outdoors. They strolled through the vibrant marketplace, where ice cream carts tempted them with colors brighter than a rainbow. With each lick of their cones, the world around them melted away. "This is living the dream," Brad exclaimed, his ice cream dripping down the side of his cone, a small price to pay for such delight. Meanwhile, beside him stood a girl named Lily, dressed in tight jeans that shimmered in the sunlight. She was beautiful yet distracted, her mind racing with thoughts. As they all laughed and shared stories, Paige noticed Lily gasping ever so slightly. "The challenge of comfort. Are you okay?" Paige asked. her heart warm with concern, gently nudging Lily to sit on a nearby bench. "I just feel a bit overwhelmed," Lily replied. She opened her heart, explaining that life sometimes felt like a tight squeeze, as if her genes were a metaphor for the pressure of expectations. Tight and stifling. Brad, ever the jokester, chimed in, "Maybe it is time to wash away those worries, just like we do with spilled ice cream." Laughter rippled through the group, lightening the mood. Lessons from the heart. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows, Paige and her friends realized that navigating life wasn't just about chasing dreams. It was also about understanding the heart that beats within each of them. "It's about learning how to use our hearts," Mary Kate said softly, her eyes sparkling with insight. "To not just chase what we want but to cherish what we have." They spent the afternoon sharing secrets, dreams, and fears. Learning that vulnerability was a stepping stone toward strength. They spoke about their journeys, about crashing and burning sometimes, but always getting back up. "Don't worry about the pressure," Ashley encouraged. "We're all in this together. It's not about how impressive we appear, but how we help each other soar." Embracing dreams as twilight painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, they agreed to support one another. They would grow together, learning to embrace their unique strengths. "Let's make a pact," Caitlin suggested. "To be there for each other, to carry each other's hearts through the tight moments, and to celebrate the laughter." With hearts full of hope and determination, they promised to stand firm against the storms of life, and with that, their laughter echoed into the twilight. A promise of friendship, strength, and endless summers. The heart of the matter. As the stars began to twinkle above, they sat together quietly, feeling blessed. They realized that this enchanted summer was not just a chapter in their lives. It was a reminder that dreams are richer when shared, and that it is not the expectations of the world that define us, but the love we cultivate within our circle. And so, with ice cream in hand and hearts wide open, Paige, Mary Kate, Ashley, Caitlin, and Brad lived their dream. Not just under the sunbeams but in every heartbeat, nurturing their friendship as the finest treasure of all. The end. Living the dream. Setting. A cherished summer day. Under the golden embrace of a summer sun, the small town of Maplewood buzzed with life. The air was tinged with the sweet scent of blooming honeysuckle, and laughter danced along the warm breeze. Children raced across the grassy expanse of Parkside Meadow while adults engaged in cheerful chatter at the old wooden picnic tables. Paige, Mary Kate, Ashley, Caitlin, and Brad. 5 friends bound by shared dreams and childhood memories. Strolled side by side, ice cream cones in hand. The vivid colors of their treats mirrored the vibrancy of the day. Cherry red, electric blue, and mellow yellow. They reveled in the warm sunbeams, each moment a slice of freedom. Character development. A dream tested. Paige, the free-spirited dreamer of the group, had always envisioned a life beyond the sleepy confines of Maplewood. Her hazel eyes sparkled with ambition, yet a shadow flickered in them. A fear of failure. Mary Kate, pragmatic and always the voice of reason, often pulled the group back from the edge of reckless fantasies. She had long given up her own dreams of becoming an artist to pursue a more secure career. The tension between her aspirations and responsibilities gnawed at her like a relentless storm. Ashley, the empathetic one, often acted as the peacemaker. Her heart brimmed with sensitivity, yet she struggled to assert her own identity amidst her friends. Caitlin, the jokester, filled the air with laughter. She wore a mask of humor, hiding moments of insecurity that bubbled beneath the surface. And Brad, with his laid-back charm, was the wild card. He was the glue of the group but secretly wrestled with feelings of inadequacy. Turning point 1. The ice cream incident. As they shared jokes and licked their melting ice cream, Caitlin suddenly gasped. The sticky pink of her cherry cone dripped down her arm, creating chaos. "Oh no, my jeans!" she cried out, panic etched on her face. The carefree facade shattered. The group erupted into laughter, but Caitlin's face burned with embarrassment. "It's just a little stain, come on," Brad said, trying to ease the tension. Yet Caitlin, feeling suffocated by her tight jeans, rushed towards the park restroom. In that moment of isolation, she reflected on the external pressures she'd felt all her life. What to wear, how to act, who to be. As Caitlin splashed water on the stain, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Her reflection refused to hide behind the cool facade any longer. Perhaps it was time to shed that which no longer served her. She stepped out and announced, "I'm done trying to fit in." Turning point 2. The conversation under a tree later. They gathered under the sprawling branches of an ancient oak tree, its leaves dancing gently in the breeze. The atmosphere shifted, and tensions that had been simmering began to surface. Mary-Kate gazed up into the foliage, her voice breaking the silence. "I'm tired of just living life to survive," she confessed. "I want to reclaim my dreams." Inspired, the others opened up about their own fears and insecurities, discussing their aspirations and the societal pressures that entangled their lives like a spider's web. The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow that seemed to illuminate their truths. "We are more than what the world expects us to be," Paige said quietly, her voice steady. The warmth of confidence filled the space. With newfound encouragement, they decided to embark on a mission together. To support each other in pursuing their dreams, big or small, unbound by societal constraints or judgments. The journey ahead. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and lavender, the group made a pact. They would stand by each other. Through failures, successes, and every challenge in between. Emerging from their confessions, their hearts were lighter. They understood that it was not simply about outcomes, but about the journey itself. Facing fears, overcoming self-doubt, and understanding that dreams are worth pursuing. "What's next for all of us?" Ashley asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Let's start by cleaning out our closets." Both literally and metaphorically, Caitlin added, laughter lacing her words. In that shared moment, under the remnants of a sun-kissed sky, a friendship deepened, and the flicker of dreams ignited. They would embrace change, unafraid of the stains life might throw their way, each a brushstroke on the canvas of their lives. As they walked home, hands intertwined, they understood that living the dream was not a destination but a journey crafted by resilience, love, and the unwavering bond of friendship. The Dreamers of Sunbeam Grove. Prologue. In the small, sun-kissed town of Sunbeam Grove, 5 friends. Paige, Mary-Kate, Ashley, Caitlin, and Brad navigated the chaotic tapestry of youth, ambition, and dreams. They lived in a world dripping with nostalgia, as luminous as the ice cream that melted in their hands under the warmth of the golden sun. Chapter 1. Ice Cream Dreams. The day began lazily, the kind of morning that lingered like the sweetness of cotton candy at a fair. The sun hung high, casting playful shadows as the group gathered by the local ice cream parlor, the Scoop of Dreams. Here, the air was thick with laughter, sticky hands, and melted ice cream. Paige was the spirited leader of their band. With a passion for photography, she dreamed of capturing moments, transient and fickle, on the film of life. Mary-Kate, artistic and introspective, often found herself lost in her sketches, blessed with the gift of visualization. Ashley, with her affinity for science, had ambitions of uncovering the mysteries of the universe. Caitlin was the heart of the group, her kindness radiating warmth, while Brad, the Joker, provided levity with his quips and pranks. The dream. As they indulged in scoops of vibrant flavor, Caitlin sat beside Brad, her tight jeans hugging her form, yet she found herself gasping for breath from a different kind of compression. The weight of expectations pressing down on her. "Life's a tricky thing," she said, her voice barely rising above the chatter. "Sometimes, I feel like we're all just trying to keep these facades up until it suffocates us." "Oh, come on," Brad chuckled, flicking a drop of cherry ice cream at her. "We're just living the dream, aren't we?" But behind her smile lay a storm cloud of worry. Caitlin had always carried a burden. The incessant need to please and fit in. Deep within her, she silently questioned her worth. Chapter 2. The Stain of Fear. After their ice cream rendezvous, reality came crashing in like thunder. As they parted ways to tackle the day ahead, Caitlin felt anxious about her presentation in school the next day. A test of her self-worth. Meanwhile, Paige prepared for an important photography competition, hoping to secure a scholarship. The weight of their dreams painted a duality. Excitement and dread. In the midst of this, Brad became entangled in his own labyrinth. His dreams of comedy overshadowed by the fear of failure. "Remember," Ashley advised him during their late-night brainstorming session, "dreams don't fly if they're confined in a nest built on fear." Turning point 1. The fall. That very night, an unexpected event would alter the trajectory of their lives. While studying in the park, a thunderstorm struck, prompting the gang to seek refuge in the nearby old library. Within its dusty confines, they stumbled upon a forgotten tome that spoke of the wings of dawn. An ancient artifact said to grant its bearer clarity and courage. The legends whispered of those who dared to search and discover their true path. "Imagine if this is real," Ashley exclaimed, her scientific curiosity ignited. "We should find it," encouraged Paige, her adventurous spirit awakened. Only the next bounding heart's desire, however, would unlock their true destinies. Chapter 3. The quest begins. Under the light of the stars, the 5 friends decided to embark on a quest for the wings of dawn. The following day, they carefully crafted their strategies. Each character's motivations were interwoven into this journey. They were not merely searching for an artifact but for their dreams and identities amidst the chaos of adolescence. Slices of life. Along their path, the challenges they faced mirrored their personal struggles. Caitlin encountered a feral cat, a symbol of her wild, untamed fears. The cat wouldn't budge, blocking her passage. In entangling the creature from fear, she learned to confront her own insecurities. Projecting strength and kindness. Mary-Kate found artistic expression in a clearing, creating sketches of the landscapes they traversed, each stroke capturing fleeting moments revealing the artistry of life. Brad faced a mirror. An egotistical figure who mocked him. Instead of retreating, he utilized humor to deflect the negativity, transforming the encounter into a stand-up routine that resonated deeply with his friends. Turning point 2. The breakthrough. As they ventured deeper into the enchanted woods, the gang learned that vulnerability was the strength needed to open their hearts. One night, by the campfire, raw emotions poured out. "I'm scared of failing," Caitlin confessed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I fear the weight of expectation," Brad admitted, his bravado fading under the moonlight. "Together we can face anything," Paige reassured. With unity as their foundation, they resolved to carry each other's burdens, embarking on an inner journey that breathed life into possibilities they had never considered. Chapter 4. The Wings of Dawn. After battling their internal struggles and piecing together clues, they arrived at a mystical cave, where the Wings of Dawn awaited. However, the artifact appeared fragile, seemingly just out of reach. The climax unfolded as the friends navigated individual trials to unlock the power of the artifact. Each challenge revolved around showcasing personal growth, the acceptance of flaws, the recognition of worth beyond superficial measures, and most importantly, the power of friendship. Turning point 3. Embracing truth. As they finally grasped the Wings of Dawn, a rush of wisdom cascaded over them. They came to understand that life's true treasure wasn't the artifact itself but the bonds they had forged and the self-discovery they underwent. "It's not just about flying," Ashley said, her voice steady, but understanding how to land. Epilogue. Dreams awaken. Back in Sunbeam Grove, they emerged as transformed individuals. Each now embodied their dreams. Paige pursued her photography with renewed fervor, Caitlin spoke openly with conviction about her ideas, and Brad infused authenticity into his humor. As summer shriveled into autumn, the group sat at their beloved ice cream stand, licking cones under the fading sunbeams. "Here's to dreams," Caitlin toasted, a smile spreading across her face. "Cheers to facing our fears," Brad echoed, raising his cone high. In the intimate glow of friendship, they understood that life wasn't about avoiding the fall but about experiencing the journey and all its inherent magic. As they savored the final bites of their melting ice cream, one thing was clear. Their dreams were no longer just fragments of desire but a conscious reality, alive and thriving, like the vibrant sun above them. In the heart of Sunbeam Grove, amidst laughter and shared stories, the adventure wasn't just theirs. It belonged to every dreamer yearning to step out of the shadow and into the light. Meanwhile, Brad's career was at a precipice. His art was selected for a prestigious exhibit, tempting him to devote himself entirely to his ambitions. Yet, in the back of his mind was the memory of Sarah, and his overridden emotions tangled around the proposal as tightly as shoelaces in a lawnmower. He longed to understand Sarah's struggles. But he also craved success for himself. Turning point 2. The disconnection. The distance between them grew as Brad threw himself into his work, pouring his frustration and pain into every stroke on the canvas while Sarah wrestled with her past in the dark corners of her photography. She began documenting the stories of others who felt trapped in their realities, those yearning for an escape. Then came a poignant moment that pushed them further apart. Brad, distracted by his success, forgot the anniversary of their first date. Sarah had been capturing beautiful moments of life, yet internally she was drowning, feeling invisible and unloved. It was a heart-wrenching phone call that turned into a blame game, leading Brad to question whether they could ever find their way back to one another. Chapter 4. The Breaking Point. With the art exhibit looming, Brad found a measure of validation in the applause of viewers, but every cheer felt hollow to him without Sarah by his side. In an impulsive moment of yearning, he ventured to her mother's house, hoping to mend what was broken. As he entered, Sarah stood in the living room, a family photo clutched in her hand, tears streaming down her face. The authenticity of that moment reignited the deep bond they shared. They spoke, unearthing fears and desires buried by misunderstandings and hurt pride. They both yearned to escape their feelings of being trapped in their respective lives, but they were also learning that true freedom emanated from vulnerability and connection. Turning point 3. The Epiphany. I don't want to be afraid to dream big, but I don't want to lose you in the process, Brad declared, the honesty flooding his heart with warmth. We'll navigate this together, Sarah echoed, the fight in her eyes reigniting. Love was not simply about the joy. It was about standing together in the storms. Chapter 5. New Beginnings. After the confrontation, they chose to face their fears together. Brad's art show became not just an evening of praise but a celebration of resilience and love. They invited Sarah's mother, who after a rocky start warmly embraced the transformation of her daughter and Brad as they stood together, intertwined by their shared experiences. As summer gave way to autumn, the warmth of their love sprouted anew, blooming in ways they had yet to explore. They traveled together, capturing moments through Sarah's lens and Brad's imagination, intertwining their paths closer as they started to build something beautiful out of both their dreams. A life where they could support each other's ambitions while battling their shadows. Epilogue. The heartbeat. Sitting once again under the sun, ice cream in hand and laughter echoing in the air, Brad and Sarah took a moment to reflect on their journey. They had learned to breathe easier, shed their past reservations, and embrace the future. No longer bound by expectations but intertwined with shared dreams. With the vibrant colors of sunset framing their silhouettes, they knew they had not just survived but truly begun to live. Together, they found clarity in love. No longer suffocating, but free to spread their wings and fly, knowing they'd always find home in each other's hearts. Living the Dream. An Adventure Beneath the Sun. Chapter 1. A Day of Bliss. In the small coastal town of Windermere, Brad felt like the luckiest man alive. The sun hung high in the sky, casting shimmering beams over the golden sands, while the salty air wafted through the beach, mingling with the sweet scent of ice cream from the nearby stand. He was, in every sense of the phrase, living the dream. Beside him stood Mira, a girl who had become his unexpected companion. Dressed in tight jeans that accentuated her figure, she smiled brightly, her long hair dancing in the gentle breeze. Brad had met Mira at a local cafe a few weeks prior, drawn to her laughter that seemed to resonate harmoniously with his own adventurous spirit. "Can you believe this?" Mira said, her eyes sparkling as she held an overflowing cone of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Brad could tell that there was something deeper in her gaze. As if she too was trapped between her dreams and the harsh reality of life. As they walked along the shoreline, Mira suddenly paused. "It's suffocating, isn't it?" she gasped, wiping away the droplets of melted ice cream that threatened to spill over. "What do you mean?" Brad asked, genuinely puzzled. "The pressure to conform, to meet expectations," she sighed, her gaze drifting to the horizon. "Sometimes I feel like I can't breathe." Chapter 2. Unseen Battles. Their ice cream cones became a metaphor for their lives. Sweet on the surface but beginning to melt under the weight of anxiety and societal pressures. As they made their way back to the cafe, Mira confided in him about her struggles. Her dreams of becoming an artist, her family's expectations of her studying law, and the weight of always trying to please everyone. "I'm trying to get some clarity, you know," she admitted. "But it feels like before I can find myself, I'm going to suffocate under it all." Brad could empathize deeply. He had dreamed of being a musician, but after many failed attempts to break into the industry, he'd settled into a mundane desk job. The weight of his unfulfilled aspirations felt heavy in his chest too. As he glanced down at Mira, an idea sparked within him. "Let's do something memorable together," he proposed. "A weekend adventure. Just you and me. No distractions." "I'd love that," she replied, her eyes lighting up with a newfound excitement. Chapter 3. The weekend retreat with plans set, they decided to escape to a rustic cabin nestled in the heart of the Windmere Woods. As they arrived, the serenity of nature enveloped them. The chirping birds, rustling leaves, and the glow of the setting sun mixing to create an enchanting atmosphere. That evening, they shared stories by the fire. Brad spoke of his dreams and how fear had kept him tethered. In turn, Mira revealed her passion for painting and how encouragement from her grandmother had once ignited that flame. "But I think I've lost it," she lamented, looking downcast. At that moment, Brad took a deep breath, realizing they both faced a crossroads. "We haven't failed. We've just been too afraid to try again," he said, his voice strong yet gentle. Chapter 4. A turning point. As dawn broke, the woods illuminated in soft golden light, Brad and Mira decided to explore. However, during their hike, they stumbled upon an unusual sight. A small abandoned art studio, overtaken by ivy and neglect. Intrigued, they ventured inside, discovering brushes, canvases, and layers of paint scattered about. Myra's eyes widened with wonder. The place seemed to pulse with untold stories. "This is where I'll start again," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Days turned into hours as they painted, laughed, and shed their fears. During one of their painting sessions, Brad picked up a brush beside Mira and tried his hand at capturing the landscape. Although he lacked skill, his excitement matched hers, and they reveled in the creation process, discovering joy amidst the imperfections. Chapter 5. Faces of Reality. But as their weekend retreat came to a close, the pressure of real life loomed over them. Back in Windmere, responsibilities awaited. Myra's family insisted on seeing her grades, while Brad faced a decision about staying in his uninspiring job or chasing his dreams of music. One night, sharing ice cream on the sandy beach, a shadow passed over Myra's face. "What if this was a dream, and we have to leave it behind?" Brad took her hand and said, "Then let's promise to chase it. No matter how far we are from each other, our dreams can bridge that distance." Chapter 6. Resilience and Growth. A few months passed, filled with struggles and breakthroughs. Mira began painting again, securing a small exhibit at a local cafe, showcasing her work and garnering support from the community. Meanwhile, Brad mustered the courage to perform at the open mic night, discovering his voice among the crowd. Each challenge became a stepping stone rather than a hurdle. The defining moment came during Myra's exhibition, where Brad performed his original song inspired by their adventures. The crowd's applause resonated deeply, and as he looked out at the smiling face of Mira, he realized their bond had evolved, woven with creativity and shared dreams. Epilogue. Beyond the horizon. Though Brad and Mira returned to their lives, they never forgot the dream they had fostered together. They remained friends, encouraging each other through every triumph and tribulation. The art studio eventually became a community project, igniting creativity and hope in others, proving that beneath the surface of life's pressures, there lies a path illuminated by dreams. In the end, the lesson echoed through their lives. It is not solely about the destination or the struggle but the connections made along the way. Each brushstroke, each note in a song, reminded them to live fully, to breathe deeply, and to cherish every second beneath the sun. Title: Brad's Wild Nap Adventure. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon in the sleepy town of Quirkville, where the sun shone brightly, and the birds chirped cheerfully. But for Brad, it was time to take a nap. Not just any nap, but a fast one. Like in a second. He plopped down on his couch, one foot in the dream world and one foot still in reality, ready to drift off. "Hey, Brad. You there?" I called out, but there was no answer. Brad was already deep in slumber, probably dreaming he was back in detention, where he spent far too many hours in his youth. I had more thoughts to share, but they slipped away like sand through my fingers. "Ah, well," I shrugged, "let's see what kind of adventure Brad can get into while he's snoozing." As Brad snored softly, the room around him began to shimmer and shake. Suddenly, he found himself in a bizarre dreamscape, where the laws of physics were more like suggestions. He was standing in a field of giant mushrooms, each one pulsating with a different color. "Welcome to the land of naps," a voice boomed. It was a giant, fluffy cloud with a face, floating above him. "I'm Nimbus, the nap guardian. You've entered a realm where dreams come true, but beware. The dream eaters are lurking." Brad blinked, still half asleep. "Dream eaters. Sounds like a bad band name," he muttered, scratching his head. "Indeed. They feast on the dreams of the unwary. But fear not. You have a weapon." Nimbus pointed to a shiny shovel that appeared in Brad's hands. "Use it wisely." "Right, a shovel. Just what I need," Brad said, rolling his eyes. "What am I supposed to do, dig a hole and hide?" No, you must dig up the dream gems to defeat the dream eaters," Nimbus explained, puffing up with excitement. "They're hidden all around this land." With a sigh, Brad set off, shovel in hand. He jumped over a bubbling brook and twisted around a tree that seemed to sway like it was dancing. "Nothing in between, someplace and nowhere," he muttered, feeling a bit like a character in a surreal rap. As he dug into the ground, he unearthed a sparkling gem. "One down, a million to go," he cheered, but just then, a shadow loomed over him. "Hey, Brad," a voice called out. It was his old friend, Tim, who had somehow entered the dream too. "What's with the shovel? Planning to start a garden?" "More like a graveyard for my dreams if I don't get these gems," Brad replied, swinging the shovel dramatically. Together, they dug and dodged, narrowly escaping the clutches of the dream eaters, who looked like a mix between cartoon villains and overcooked spaghetti. "They're coming for us," Tim shouted, as they sprinted through the mushroom field, laughter echoing in the air. "Just like old times, huh?" Brad grinned, feeling the thrill of adventure. "Remember when we used to sneak out at night?" "Yeah, and we got caught by that angry neighbor." Tim laughed, dodging a particularly nasty dream eater. "But this time, we're not getting caught." With each gem they collected, Brad felt more powerful. "I'm like a superhero," he declared, striking a pose. "Brad the Dream Defender. More like Brad the Nap Taker." Tim teased, but they both knew they were in this together. Finally, they reached the last gem, glowing brightly atop a hill. "This is it," Brad shouted, but the Dream Eaters were closing in. "We need to dig fast." With a flurry of shoveling, they unearthed the gem just as the Dream Eaters lunged. "Now what?" Tim asked, panic in his voice. "Now we throw it," Brad yelled, and with a mighty heave, they tossed the gem into the air. It exploded in a shower of sparkles, sending the Dream Eaters scattering like leaves in the wind. As the dust settled, Brad and Tim high-fived, grinning from ear to ear. "We did it," Brad exclaimed, feeling a rush of triumph. But just then, a loud snore echoed through the dreamscape, and everything began to fade. "Wait. I'm not ready to wake up," Brad shouted, but it was too late. With a jolt, he sat up on his couch, blinking at the sunlight streaming through the window. What a wild nap! He chuckled, realizing he had been dreaming. "Hey, Brad. You awake?" I called again, and this time he answered with a grin. "Yeah, I just had the craziest adventure. Care to share?" I asked, and as he began to recount his tale, I couldn't help but laugh. "Maybe next time, I'll take a nap with you," I suggested, and Brad nodded, already plotting our next adventure in the land of naps. Where laughs and mysteries begin in the captivating city of light laughs, where every corner seems to shimmer with humor and every block bursts with laughter, an unusual sight unfolded. Brightly colored buildings danced with whimsy, and clouds shaped like smiling faces floated lazily in the azure sky. This enchanting place was renowned for its bustling comedy scene, attracting performers and jesters from all walks of life who came to share their talent, longing to be heard through fits of laughter. One such individual was Brad, a man whose forgetful yet charming nature made him both infuriating and endearing. As he ambled through the marketplace, his eyes darted about like a child at a candy store. "Did I remember to lock the door?" he mused aloud, scratching his head in a mix of confusion and amusement. The vendor selling rubber chickens responded with a hearty laugh, used to Brad's antics. Then came Paige, quick-witted and sharp, who observed Brad with a raised eyebrow. "You lost again," she teased, leaning against a nearby stand bursting with colorful jokester hats. "What's the matter, Brad? Did you forget your brain at home?" Her sarcastic banter echoed through the lively market, infectious enough to make nearby shoppers chuckle. It was then that Brad's ill-fated memory sparked a series of unusual events. As he rummaged through his backpack, searching for an elusive snack, he stumbled upon a crumpled piece of parchment bearing a series of bizarre drawings and words. Intrigued, Brad unfolded the note. It seemed to hint at a treasure scattered around the city, branded with nothing but laughter. "Paige, look at this," he called, his forgetfulness momentarily forgotten as excitement sparked within him. Paige approached, peering over his shoulder at the peculiar notes. "Find the clown at midnight." "Sounds like an invitation for trouble," she remarked, her tone dripping with skepticism. As they squabbled over the significance of the note, their friends Mary-Kate, Liv, Ashley, and Caitlin arrived. Mary-Kate, known for her logical approach and often skeptical nature, fixed them with a bemused smile. "Are you both trying to sniff out a wild goose chase? You'll be the punchline of a joke before the day's over." Liv, with a gleam in her eye, chimed in, or maybe it is an underground comedy treasure hunt. I bet there are secret clues hidden all around the city. Her whimsical imagination sparked intrigue among the group, while Ashley and Caitlin began to bicker playfully over who could find the most ridiculous clue first. Oh please, how ridiculous can we get? Ashley laughed, flipping her hair dramatically. I could lead you to the golden potato of laughter before you find anything on that list. Challenge accepted. Caitlin responded with a mock-serious expression, her playful rivalry adding an electric energy to the group. Paige, sensing the growing excitement, decided to take charge. All right, team. Let's make this an adventure. We'll split into pairs and follow the clues. I'll go with Brad since he can't be trusted to remember where he's going. Fine by me, Brad shrugged, grinning widely. Best sidekick you could ask for. Together, the motley crew went their separate ways, armed with cryptic notes and a hearty appetite for laughter. Each character, so rich and colorful, represented a different facet of humor, highlighting the whimsical essence of light laughs. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the city, the group soon found themselves swept into an unforeseen comedic conspiracy. Laughter echoed off the cobblestone streets as they began their unconventional quest, oblivious to the hilarity and challenges lurking around every corner. With their camaraderie and quirks set against the backdrop of the vibrant city, it was clear that adventure awaited as they delved deeper into the laughter-laden mystery. Little did they know that this would be just the beginning of a journey that would lead them to uncover the true spirit of comedy and perhaps, their own laughter-filled destinies. The comedy underground in the heart of the whimsical city of light laughs, where every corner seemed to emanate giggles and glee, Brad and Paige stood huddled over a peculiar piece of scrap paper adorned with scribbled symbols and the words "Follow the Giggle Trail." The pair glanced at each other, a mixture of confusion and anticipation flickering in their eyes. Across the bustling square, the vibrant colors of street performers and their playful antics danced around them. Whether it was the juggler tossing rubber chickens or the contortionist wedged into an impossibly small box, everything was amusing. Yet it was the mystery that had truly caught their interest. Mary-Kate, who had been lingering at the edge of the group like a skeptical shadow, rolled her eyes. Honestly, are we actually going to follow this nonsense? It sounds like a plot twist scribbled by a toddler. Her pragmatic nature often ground against the absurdity of their pursuits, yet Paige felt a stirring excitement build within her. Come on, Mary-Kate. Where's your sense of adventure? Paige teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Besides, what if this leads us to something bigger? Liv, who had a penchant for flights of fancy, jumped in, sporting a dreamy grin. What if it is a path to the city's greatest undiscovered comedy contest? The kind that really shakes things up. Setting aside her skepticism for a moment, Mary-Kate lifted an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. A comedy contest? She asked, leaning closer. Brad, obliviously grinning, scratched his head, then suddenly had a literal light bulb moment. Certainly, not the first of the day. Wait, did you say contest? What if they have free nachos or something? The other four laughed gleefully at his forgetful, yet hilarious antics. Before long, the laughter faded into an unexpected silence. Caitlin and Ashley had just tumbled their way into an underground comedy club, their playful bickering leading them astray. The mural-painted walls pulsated with vivid colors reflecting the eclectic spirit of the city, an ambiance that felt alive with laughter. Did you see that sign? Caitlin quipped, glancing nervously at the club's entrance adorned with a pair of oversized, brightly painted laughing lips. This feels like the place where bad jokes go to die. Or rise from the ashes of mediocrity. Ashley declared, amused, her eyes darting over the lively atmosphere. They were tossed right into the midst of seasoned comedians trying to win over an audience drinking from oversized mugs, whose jokes elicited uproarious laughter and groans in equal measure. As the duo finally caught up with the rest, Brad's eyes widened. What if we joined? They'd get a kick out of our antics. His enthusiasm lit the room like a low-budget light show. Paige leaned in closer to examine the oddly shaped stage. You mean us? Seriously. Why not? Ashley chimed in, emboldened by the setting. We've got what it takes. Mary-Kate sighed but couldn't deny the bubbling excitement in the room. All right, I'll humor you all for a moment. But if we embarrass ourselves, I'm blaming the nachos. After a series of comical debates and laughter, it was decided. They would embrace the challenge and audition for the underground contest. Each of them dropped their pragmatic inhibitions, albeit reluctantly in Mary-Kate's case, and prepared for an impromptu brainstorming session filled with ridiculous ideas and absurd twists. Though they started as friends, this adventure transformed their dynamic. Each person's unique quirk began to shine like spotlights in a comedy show. Liv's imaginative flair crafted bizarre scenarios, Caitlin's sharp wit built clever punchlines, and Ashley's playful banter shaped the fun of the group. As they crafted their routine, laughter flowed like wine, their quirky camaraderie growing stronger by the minute. Little did they know that they were not just preparing for a comedy contest. They were about to dive headfirst into the colorful insanity of light laughs, with humor spiraling through the fabric of their friendships. Laughter in the spotlight, the crowd buzzed with excitement as dusk lit the sky with hues of orange and purple. In the heart of the whimsical city of light laughs, the citywide laughter challenge had become a kaleidoscope of sounds. Squeals, chortles, and raucous laughter filled the air. The energetic buzz sent electric waves of anticipation through the large venue, which was appointed with garish colors and flamboyant decorations emblematic of the city's peculiar charm. Brad stood backstage, fingers trembling, a cascade of comic notes fluttering from his grip. The usual haze of forgetfulness momentarily lifted. Tonight, he felt the weight of his friends' expectations. He was leading them into the heart of this uproarious contest, and somewhere deep inside, a spark of confidence stirred. Paige stood next to him, tapping her foot rhythmically against the stage floor, her eyes sharp and calculating. All right, Brad, you've got this. Just remember to channel your inner comedian. Humor is a form of art. Think abstract, think surreal. She grinned, her signature sarcasm lacing each word, but there was a genuine glint of encouragement hidden within. Just then, Mary-Kate breezed in, arms crossed, rolling her eyes. I still can't believe we're doing this. Brad, are you really ready for a laugh-off? I mean, your last attempt at humor involved you mistaking a whoopee cushion for a taco. She smirked, teasingly. Yeah, but it was a taco whoopee cushion. A real game changer. Brad shot back, a playful smile breaking across his face. Just then, Liv, Ashley, and Caitlin rushed in, their faces flushed with excitement, the dynamic energy of the group palpable. Did you see the crowd out there? They're ready to have their sides split. Liv exclaimed, her imagination dashing away on the wings of hilarity. This feels like an epic showdown. Think of it as a comedic revolution. Or just a bunch of dad jokes on steroids, Ashley piped in, nudging Caitlin, who giggled uncontrollably, her laughter bursting forth like bubbles in champagne. I didn't bring a spare pair of underwear just in case we embarrass ourselves. We're going to crush it. Caitlin chimed in, a sparkle of hope dancing in her eyes. As they made their way onto the stage, the bright lights glaring down, Brad felt an unfamiliar warmth spreading through him. The crowd roared with laughter at the antics of the opening acts, and for a moment, Brad imagined he was part of that glowing collective consciousness, a harmony intertwined in infectious giggles. Paige stepped forward, raising her hands to quiet the audience. Thank you all for being crazy enough to come out tonight. You have the privilege of witnessing the glorious return of the most entertaining people you'll ever meet. Us. The audience erupted in cheers, emboldening Brad. He leaned toward the microphone, recalling a whimsical storyline he'd conjured during their preparations. You see, comedy is a bit like a cooking show. There's always a dash of betrayal, a sprinkle of laughter, and sometimes, just sometimes, you end up with a soufflé that inflates your ego before simultaneously crashing down. This led to an uproar of laughter, and confidence began to seep through his body like the laughter itself. The team followed his lead with improvisations, and the cleverness of their collective humor unveiled a beautifully chaotic concoction not even they anticipated. As their routine unfolded, with quirky prop gags and unorthodox sketches, the group found themselves drawing the audience to a crescendo of laughter. Their performances were not just clever. They created connections among strangers, weaving together the fabric of the City of Light laughs through humor. Suddenly, from the back of the crowd, a series of exaggerated comedic rivalries started to emerge, each just as eccentric as the characters within the scene. New friendships were formed amidst uproarious laughter. Connections born from the joy of a good chuckle, enhancing the vibe of the city. Finally, as the cheers rang out, Brad had his epiphany. Comedy was uniting them as friends. Emphasizing their unique quirks and embracing their group dynamic brought them joy. As they exited the stage to a standing ovation, Brad and the group couldn't be more energized. This is just the beginning of our adventure, Brad declared, a wide smile showcasing his newfound confidence. The laughter challenge had transformed them, but they didn't yet understand just how deeply it altered their lives. With cameras flashing and laughter ringing in their ears, they plunged forward into the next phase of their whimsical journey, ready to tackle whatever comical conundrums awaited them next, with a spirit of camaraderie that promised more joyous escapades to come. Open ends and new beginnings. The sun dipped low behind the whimsical skyline of the City of Light laughs, casting long, playful shadows that danced along the cobblestone streets. A light breeze stirred, carrying the aroma of roasted chestnuts and echoes of laughter that resonated from the various comedy clubs dotting the landscape. After their exhilarating performance in the citywide laughter challenge, Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, Liv, Ashley, and Caitlin gathered at a prominent park. Their unofficial headquarters since the beginning of their comedic escapades. "I can't believe we actually did it," Brad exclaimed, eyes sparkling with excitement. His previously oblivious demeanor now carried a hint of confidence, a side effect, perhaps, of embracing his comedic instincts. Paige chuckled, adjusting her oversized glasses. "I mean, have you seen your punchlines? Who knew you had it in you?" Mary-Kate, ever the skeptic, rolled her eyes but smiled nonetheless. "Yeah, well, we still need to determine what we're going to do with this newfound fame. The underground comedy scene won't just let us waltz in without facing challenges." Liv, leaning against an ancient oak, twirled a strand of her whimsical hair. "I think it is thrilling. This city has so much to offer us. I heard rumors of an even bigger competition coming up soon, the Great Giggle Gauntlet. It's said to bring together the funniest folks from near and far." Ashley chimed in, her eyes glinting mischievously. "Oh, what if we assemble a team specifically for that? We could take on the best comedians." Caitlin, dismissively waving her hand, interjected, "Wait, are we renowned comedians now? Step aside, pros, we've got Brad and his forgetfulness. What's our angle? Who are we going to be?" Instead of feeling offended, Brad laughed along, recognizing Caitlin's jest as part of their camaraderie. "We can be the comedy dream team. Every great act has its quirks, right? We just have to embrace our uniqueness." Paige leaned closer, suddenly more serious. Or maybe we should consider what we learned about ourselves in all of this. Comedy isn't just about telling jokes. It is about connection, stories, laughter, and maybe even healing. Do we really want to throw ourselves into another competition immediately, or do we want to explore what this means for each of us first? The group fell quiet, pondering Paige's insight. The heady thrill of their performance lingered, but it suddenly seemed less about the accolades and more about the friendships that had grown through laughter. Mary-Kate took a deep breath, breaking the reflective silence. I propose we dig deeper into the comedy scene. See if we can meet some of these other acts, maybe learn from them before tossing ourselves into another competition. It can't hurt to research what we're up against first, right? Liv nodded enthusiastically. Besides, think of the stories we could collect along the way. And with those stories, we become our own act. Ashley leaned back. Yeah. Adventure first, glory second. Brad grinned. So it is settled then. We'll uncover the city of light laughs, forge our comedic identities, and make it our mission to gather all the quirky stories we can. Who knows, maybe each story will lead to its own adventure. As the group sat in the fading sun, recounting anecdotes from their recent antics, the shadows deepened, and laughter intertwined with the twilight. They felt the spark of something exciting brewing. New adventures awaited them, each filled with potential hilarity. Even if they were uncertain of what lay ahead, one thing was clear. As long as they had each other, there would always be laughter. An open-ended treasure awaiting more whimsical encounters and the unexpected joy of friendship in the heart of satire. The night drawled on, filled with conversation, laughter, and anticipation. Dark skies above held the promise of continuation. The end of one story, but the vibrant beginning of many more. Once upon a time in the vibrant city of New Orleans, there lived a spirited woman named Lila. She was known for her infectious laughter and a heart that beat with the rhythm of jazz. Lila had a secret crush on a charming musician named Brad, whose soulful melodies could make anyone swoon. One sultry evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lila found herself at her favorite jazz bar, the Blue Note. The air was thick with the scent of gumbo and the sound of saxophones. She spotted Brad on stage, his fingers dancing over the guitar strings, captivating the audience with every note. As the last song ended, Lila felt a surge of courage. She approached him, her heart racing like the tempo of the music. "Brad," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I love you very much." Brad raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "How much, you ask?" "Very," Lila replied, a playful smile spreading across her face. "Now, put your hands on my waist, please. And very fast." Brad chuckled, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Oh really? And what happens next?" "Take it slow," Lila teased, stepping closer. "And don't forget my heart. I'm yours to explore, your adventure waiting to unfold." In that moment, the world around them faded away. To Lila, everyone else was invisible. It was just her and Brad, lost in a dance of flirtation and desire. "Without you, my life is unlivable," she confessed, her voice soft yet earnest. You make everything brighter, like the stars that light up the New Orleans night. Brad grinned, his charm undeniable. You're quite the poet, Lila. I'd rather take a dip in your laughter than in any pool. Lila laughed, her cheeks flushing. Even if I'm a fool. Especially if you're a fool, he replied, stepping closer, their chemistry electric. You're the kind of fool I want to be around. As the night wore on, they shared stories, dreams, and laughter, each moment weaving them closer together. Lila felt a warmth spreading through her, a feeling of belonging she had never known before. Brad, you butter up my life, she said, her eyes glimmering with affection. You're the whole package, the melody to my song. Brad leaned in, his voice low and sincere. And you, Lila, are the harmony that makes it all worthwhile. I love how you see the world. With a playful glint in her eye, Lila replied, my love for you is vast, like the ocean. Ready for you to dive in and explore. As the night deepened, they found themselves wrapped in each other's arms, the music of the bar fading into the background. Lila whispered, thank you, Brad. For being you. For making me feel alive. Release me from this ordinary life, he murmured, his breath warm against her ear. Let's create our own symphony together. And in that moment, under the twinkling lights of the Blue Note, Lila and Brad knew they had found something special. A love that was as deep and enchanting as the city they called home. Together, they would dance through life, hand in hand, heart to heart, forever lost in their own beautiful melody.